Hello and welcome to our final day of the Hellcase Cup Season 8. We are going to be crowning our champions in a few hours' time, maybe a little bit over a few hours' time, because we've still got to find out who is going to be making it to that grand final. We have our consolidation final, something like that. It's a complicated word. Basically, the teams that lost now get to go through the lower bracket, and then they play one more time after fighting all the way through to see who gets back into the grand final. Now, Sprout have only had a very short amount of time in this lower bracket. In fact, this will be their first game there, as they lost to Nemiga in the upper bracket final, and Nemiga have made their way through into the grand final, waiting for one of our two remaining teams. Now, on the other hand, we have Hard Legion, who have been down there for a fair amount of time. They've had to fight their way back through after losing to Sprout initially, and then I think they get their sort of final boss a little bit later on. So it's going to be interesting to see how they actually do in this case. Obviously, they managed to get through HAVU and forZe already. I feel like they've been almost leveling up as they go along, although unfortunately they do still have a stand-in within their roster, I believe. Or has he
I think
dropped
it's
out
still
for today?
thrown.
Yeah, it is still
Yeah.
thrown. It doesn't say it necessarily, but he is on the roster. So he's had a little bit of time to maybe grow into the team. Do you think they have a chance this time, though?
It's tough because Sprout were the team that sent them down to the lower bracket in the first place,
Yeah.
which is part of the difficulty for the Hard Legion guys. That was a kind of close series, though, even though it was a 2-0 for Sprout. There were two close maps in there. Inferno went to overtime. So from what we've seen from Hard Legion, just their ability to seemingly fight through having this stand-in and use their individuals has been pretty high. So I think it might be competitive, but it's hard to not think that Sprout are going to get the win here. Just based on everything we've seen, I've liked what we've seen from Denis. I think Dycha's had some good games. All in all, I would expect Sprout to get the win here, but Hard Legion have been upsetting us every single time. So it's hard to know exactly.
Yeah, and I think especially the style of Hard Legion, once they've had this sort of mixed roster and once they've realized they can't do sort of everything they were doing before, has become much more loose, has become much more aim heavy, and if anything, that has kind of helped them out. And if we look at in comparison to the team that actually managed to beat Sprout to send them down into this match in the first place, Nemiga are also a very loose style, individualistic, aggressive team. So there's definitely potential for Hard Legion. And at this point, like, to doubt them after eliminating HAVU and forZe would be a little bit silly. And especially after, I think the first map they played went to overtime. And as you said, it was actually, that Mirage game was almost a little bit misleading because they started really strong and had two subs, not even just one. Like, there was their IGL and arguably their star player missing as well. So it's been an interesting one, but of course, going into this, I think that you sort of said it and jinxed them a little bit, but Sprout are probably the favorites now to take the whole thing. Sure, Nemiga are a team that managed to beat them yesterday, but in consistent results, Sprout have been able to beat Nemiga the majority of the times they've played, and maybe it was just a bad day at the office, or at least that's what it seemed. So going forward, Sprout now are looking to be the champions. I think teams such as HAVU, maybe even forZe, are the ones that could have beaten them throughout. The remaining two teams, you'd expect them to be able to take down, especially with the roster that they've built over the last couple of months.
Also, I have to say that I jinxed Sprout in their last game, so this time I have to predict Hard Legion because I promised the social media guy I wouldn't jinx
But
them
you
again.
said well, actually, yeah, you jinxed them and they did lose, didn't you?
They did.
So really the Sprout guys can 100% just blame you.
100%.
But now, if you're trying to predict Hard Legion to counter your own jinx, that
Well,
probably means you're still technically jinxing Sprout.
yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know. I don't know how to go about that, Tom. I don't know how the jinxing
The second you
works.
try to control the jinx is when is when it ends up biting you again. So,
Oh dear.
if basically if Sprout get eliminated, it is still Alex's fault. And if they don't and they get through, then Hard Legion, I just wanted you to know that that was also his fault. So either way, you're now screwed.
Right, right.
Either you're going to have the Russians coming after you or the Germans and the Poles. Either way, it's not looking good for you, I'll be honest. I would say that you're probably a little bit safer because if it's the Germans and the Poles, because I don't think there's that many Germans or Polish people within Ukraine right now, whereas there's a fair few Russians in Ukraine. So
Yeah, just a
I,
few.
I would probably say that you're hoping for Hard Legion to win. But I'll say the fact that I'd actually quite like them to get through because they've deserved it. To play this whole tournament with a stand-in and still put up very good results, still have fantastic individual like plays, and still have some pretty decent rounds as a team, it's impressive because this should be really rough for them, especially losing someone like forZe, who's like the 20-year-old young star who also plays a lot of the roles that suck. Like, you look at the Dust 2 B site solo player, that's normally him in that role, controlling these tough sites, which normally are relatively easy to break down, and he has to be the one to deny them. So to then just go, hey, Throne, you know those roles that loads of people don't want to play? Here you go, buddy. Enjoy. Join the team for a bit. So he definitely deserves some props, because although some of the maps we've seen a bit of a slow performance from him, he had some really high impact plays, especially yesterday versus forZe. And of course, I do think that forZe played pretty poor. I don't think that was anywhere near the level that we've seen of them throughout the tournament. No, definitely not the same team that we saw play against Nordavind, which, to be honest, for Nordavind, you'd probably be sat there a little bit annoyed that you had to play against a tougher team. Of course, the odds have come up on your screen. No surprise to see Sprout favored here. They've already beaten them once in the tournament. And again, I'm getting bored of saying it, Hard Legion have a stand-in. So even though he is now becoming part of the family, I'm sure, it's still going to have some weaknesses. It's still going to have maybe some weaker calls. Maybe either he himself will be forced into a few more awkward situations, or doesn't know exactly the same sort of strats. Like we had Yakinda during the We Play RMR talking about how he had a few weeks, but there were still some things that just didn't make sense. Where if you have a few days or maybe even a few hours for the first matches and just go, there you go, you're now in the team, of course there's going to be some problems.
Yeah, that goes without saying. I think on the Hard Legion side of things, we've seen Krad be very key to a lot of the rounds they win and a lot of the rounds they lose. But it makes a bit more sense when you've got this standing, that the way that Krad plays, because he is making a bunch of plays for the most part.
Although he does do that anyway.
Well, yeah, but on Overpass, for example, he won like a couple of key rounds to close it out for them against forZe when it was starting to get close. So I think seeing Krad continue his playstyle will be fun.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm kind of concerned. I think Sprout should be a bit of a more structured team. You'd expect them to be able to deal with Krad a bit better. They already have played him in the past. They already did pretty well there. I think in general, we're just basically hoping to see again these Sprout players show up, because Denis has been really good since coming back onto the Sprout lineup, especially in this last tournament. He really has started to step it up in these recent games, and he was, I think, their standout player before he joined Big in the first place. So it's cool to see him back in more of a star role, back in a fragging position, and he's really doing a good job so far.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me is that obviously, if you were going to pick players in terms of their individual skill, he shouldn't be first on the team. Like he's playing very well, and he's been impactful for sure. Especially if you look, say, for example, at Inferno, which is going to be coming up. He's someone that I think we have to focus on, especially on the T side, because he really does make a lot of big plays. And I think, especially with disjointed rosters with stand-ins, he's going to be able to exploit that. The only thing that worries me is we've seen some pretty poor performances from both faveN and Dycha, who should be two of the best players on the whole team. Like, if I was going to say that they could probably replace any member on Hard Legion in terms of just pure individual skills. So the fact that they've gone missing a couple of times, I think there were matches where they were like within the bottom two. Like Spiidi was playing better than them, and as we were saying, like, it's not to harp on Spiidi, it's more the fact that faveN and Dycha should be better than Spiidi. He's in-game leading, and he's the more experienced player within the roster, not necessarily the one that's meant to frag out. So if that happens again, then you're going to have problems, because Hard Legion are playing this loose style. They've got those players who are being more aggressive than normal. Rage is someone we haven't even mentioned yet. He's been fantastic throughout this tournament, and I want to see more of this Rage when forZe eventually does come back into the roster, because he was instrumental in all of their victories, like getting aggressive, taking fights, taking peaks he wasn't normally, basically taking more risks as an AWPer. He was involved in probably the most opening duels, which we mentioned at the Clutch Island. He was involved in the joint least opening duels. So it's a clear change in his playstyle. Now, whether that's something because they've changed or removed their coach, or because they've realized that he needs to be a bit more proactive, or just because they have a player missing. Now, I'm hoping it's one of the first two, because then we get to see this guy when the team's back together and everything's smooth. If it's just because Throne's here, well, I hope that doesn't happen and he goes back to the way he was before.
Well, we're underway into the first map of this series. It is Sprout's pick of Mirage, and Denis is about to be tested on this B site. He's got players to help him, though. Denis denies the bomb plant, and Hard Legion are not finding much ground onto the site here. They've only found one kill. And Rage is the last man standing. Won't be getting anything done. Sprout very well prepared to counter that quick B play. And Denis is someone who kind of struggled to get involved in the last Mirage game that Sprout played. He was oftentimes isolated on that B site. He never really got to do much because they were losing A so often. So it's nice to see him getting a couple of kills early in this one.
Yeah, I like to see as well the fact that they're going a little bit safer with some of their force buys, because we saw, well, not force buys, investment. We saw a lot of force buy victories coming up, especially on Hard Legion side when they were playing yesterday versus forZe. They were so good with the Deagles, even in rounds, their third round buy, which, for anybody who doesn't know, most of the time, if you do force into this one, the next one is nothing. It's just going to be a Deagle or two. Like, you don't have the cash to spend. They won a couple of those. So, you've got to be really careful when facing off against the pistols of this side. Now, of course, any players lost in this round are extra cost and extra risk, because it could be a rifle going into the other hand. I'm interested by the fact, though, that 4 players saved, 1 player did not save. So I'm not sure why that's the case. Maybe kinqie's going to buy a MAC-10 and just wanted to try and make things a little bit more costly. I won't say I'm particularly a fan. I would much rather save as a team, buy as a team, keep the finances even throughout, because this is going to leave them in a bit of an odd situation in the next round.
Yeah, kinqie maybe could afford a Galil into this next round as well. That's an option he'll probably have available to him. But it definitely leaves him somewhat shortchanged. svyat will go back for the bomb, but there are players close by. Dycha's making noise, so svyat will have the chance to try and win the fight, but Dycha's there to deny. And I definitely want to see what level we're going to see out of Dycha today, because in some of the games, I think Dycha has been pretty good. Against Hard Legion, actually, in that previous series, he was the second highest rated player for Sprout. But there's been some series where Dycha's maybe been a bit quieter, maybe hasn't been able to hold his positions as easily. And he's playing on the A site here of Mirage, which is oftentimes a high traffic area of the map. You need to make sure your aim's on point. And into this third round, it's not the force buy for Hard Legion. They're going for another half investment here. So maybe that's why kinqie was investing a bit more into that previous round. The rest of them now buy down to about the same economy as kinqie. And again, this low buy will look to see if it can do some damage.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't really get why you wouldn't just invest more in the last round.
Yeah, because if you win that force then, you're in a really good spot.
No, then again, maybe they've just realized that the third is their lucky round, because it seems to be going relatively well. This is great from faveN, though. Saving them in this position. Still, svyat, an extra kill would be wonderful, but even still, 3 kills in a round where you haven't fully invested is not bad. But you've basically given extra money over to Sprout anyway, because you've done that twice. So, although the damage was nice and all, you're still going to have to come up against the full buy of Sprout while not having one yourself. Although D has gone for an MP9. I think they might have misread this. I think they might have thought that that was a heftier buy than it actually was, because going for an SMG in this scenario is a little bit weird. Unless he has a specific plan, which by the looks of it, he might be taking a dive into the palace, which, okay, that I can kind of understand.
Yeah, it sets up snatchie for the trade. The 2 poles in tandem at the start of the round. snatchie, oh no, he's caught in transition, thrown with some nice timing there. Good decision to just get into the open. There's always the risk that there's another player close by watching ramp, but Throne decided to take that risk. Spiidi, though, just takes the fight against him and lands the headshot. So we go back to a 3-on-3. It's been all action at the start of round number 4, but I think things will slow down slightly now as Hard Legion go back and make sure they have the bomb. Spiidi gets the timing right, though. Good round from him so far. He's catching these opponents off guard, and Denis is about to find a battle over at B. He has to put the smoke down, though.
Oh, Krad and Rage, probably the 2 players you'd want in this scenario, but lurking around the edge of that smoke is going to be Denis, and straight through he gets the first kill. There's a flank coming in behind from Spiidi as well. Great round from Spiidi. 3 kills for him, 5 and 2 overall, and Sprout have got off to a flying start. It is now going to be a bit of a weird scenario financially, because maximum loss bonus means even a couple of players could have just invested into AKs here. I wouldn't mind seeing kinqie just go AK armor, have that extra buy for this round, and then with 3,400 he would be able to get another AK armor in the next. Gonna play it a bit safer, but at the same time, with how effective they've been with the Deagles so far, can't really blame them. But 4-0 for Sprout. We know that they did struggle a little bit when it came to their T side. facing off against Nemiga, although I think Nemiga are a much better Mirage team than Hard Legion. Not to harp on them, but they are a very good Mirage team. Bit awkward for denis. It's going to be a free kill and potentially a rifle if they can retrieve it, which Rage will be able to do. Interestingly, he's the only man without armor, so hopefully that's going to go into somebody else's hands, considering the rest are healthy. Bit of an awkward battle here as Dycha's gone down as well. More weaponry being retrieved, although, wow, if you're going to peek into the hands of snatchie like that, you're asking for trouble. This battle is horrible. Why would you take that versus a deagle? These are some questionable decisions being made, and now the bomb's actually going to go down on this B site, or it can. At least Thrones found another kill, and now the man who started it all has to try and finish it. snatchie, 1v2.
Yeah, and his money isn't great, so saving the AWP is probably the most likely outcome here. I'm a bit surprised that firstly Sprout fight so hard for the window room. I guess they wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be a split onto A, which can be difficult to deal with in these sorts of rounds when the pistols are in play. But you saw there snatchie was in a kind of uncomfortable position just because faveN was behind him and he couldn't really fall back easily. It ended up working okay for them, though. They kept control of the window room. And then, yeah, I'm not sure why faveN would go for that mid-peak. It's such a big gamble with the MP9 there. It's unlikely you're going to win the fight against the pistols, against the Deg. You never know, there could be a scout on the other side as well. And oh dear, kinqie's died to the bomb. It's not too bad, though. Krad will be able to save the M4. And over on the Sprout side of things, snatchie keeps the AWP. There's this opening kill from kinqie. And this was also a fight that denis took early, which gave away this rifle, which could have made the difference. But really, it was just the pistols. And you see there, that's not even a clean kill from kinqie. But at long range, the Deg is in such a better position against that MP9. So a couple of mistakes there for Sprout, a couple of overextensions, I think it's fair to say. Even denis getting caught at the start of the round was a bit of a problem for them. But into this one, it's a double AWP setup for the CT side. faveN has got this AWP scoped in on this angle, and Rage is about to go into the open. Good shot from faveN. The positioning pays off, and Dycha gets another kill for Sprout. So it's back to success for Sprout at the start of this one.
Yeah, this double AWP setup was pretty tough for teams to break down throughout. We've noted that it seems to switch dependent on round. Right, we had Dycha actually picking it up at the back of the A side, and that was when they really started to play better versus Nemiga on their CT side. Nonetheless, there has been a trade back from Krad, and with him still standing, there's definitely potential. Also, Throne has done a decent job in a couple of rounds of getting out towards this A site at the right time. Now, he's the one with the bomb. There's already a push through, and there is Throne. A pick onto snatchie. This opens up the A site, gives them an opportunity to get the bomb plant. It's more dependent on Spiidi's timing. His peek, and it's perfect. That's the bomb dropped. He knows the next player is at least tagged, and he will connect the shots onto him as well. And now Krad, left alone. faveN won't even give him a second to think about what he wants to do, as he'll be dead before he can even pull the trigger.
Yeah, it looks like that last round from Sprout was more just a blip in the radar, because they're straight back to a good round here. I like that faveN just gets into that position on short, because Rage has been starting to try and go for those fights more frequently, and faveN just dodges the flashbang and then just holds the angle, knowing that Rage is probably going to peek his position. Into this one, Rage will have the AWP again. It's glass cannon this time, though. No Kevlar for Rage, so he will be pretty susceptible to nades and to shots. Smoke goes down into window for Hard Legion. They're looking for some early control, and Rage has found a shot onto Spiidi. So this time it's the T-side AWPer that takes the opening kill of the round. Sprout still sticking around at mid, though, and Krad could be about to try and take this fight. denis ducks into cover, though. faveN has to be a little bit careful here. Just decides to play it safe.
This will be a tough one for Dycha. All 5 players converging on this A site. Palace under their control. faveN, the timing's off, but he hits the shot. Anyway, Dycha, I don't know how he's got away with that. He stood up into the open, elevated his position, almost showed himself off to the T side, and then still hit the headshot in the end. They're going to go peeking. Is there a flash for Throne? It doesn't matter. He's found the kill elsewhere and a missed shot, and now he's going to clean up 3 in a matter of seconds. Superb round from Throne. He will take that crown, and more importantly, a second round on the board for Hard Legion.
Yeah, it's some of the other players stepping up for Hard Legion. We've seen games where kinqie's been able to step up. This time, Throne's making plays as well. We haven't even really called upon Krad or Rage, who are the two players we've looked at most frequently for this Hard Legion squad. So that's definitely a decent sign for Hard Legion, considering they haven't had two of their more important players showing up. They're still winning rounds. And now Sprout have got a pretty poor force buy here into this one. Spiidi, the one man with an M4. snatchie was the one man with the scout, but he's not got it anymore. kinqie just wide swings on mid. And even though Hard Legion have left the bomb behind, they've got full mid control here. Sprout are just trying to get some good timing on this aggression, but I think Throne will be ready for this. Good kill onto the first. He's not ready for Dycha, though. Dycha's got this kill all day long, so an AK recovered, but Hard Legion still have that mid control, and they should still have a good opportunity to get onto a bomb site here. In fact, they're going to go to A.
Yeah, the right call all in all, but they've got to remember Dycha's position, which they have. They're going in for the peak svyat. A little bit risky considering he had the bomb. That goes down. Who knows where this round goes, but hey, if you're confident, if you're going to hit headshots like that, I don't think anybody's going to mind too much. Now for the remaining two, weaponry is a real issue, and retrieving any extra guns is almost impossible. Maybe if the bomb is kind with its explosion, it might push a gun into Denis, and in fact, actually, he has retrieved the M4 from earlier, so that's something at least. faveN spot is one that I don't really expect anybody on the T side to push. Completely unnecessary. Your own finances aren't that great, and the purchase that was in from the side of Sprout was pretty weak. svyat, is he actually going to go out in this direction on his own? I'm not really sure of the value of this. In fact, he'll just stay on the ramp. Right, cool. No real chance of dying from the bomb, and he actually gets Denis at the end. Great stuff from svyat.
Oh, Denis got greedy. He wanted that AK, I think. And it ends up costing him everything. Ends up working pretty nicely there for svyat. Nice decision to just sit on that rifle that was at ramp. Even if Denis already had one, he wanted the upgrade. And now Sprout have basically nothing into this round. It's literally just what faveN saved. So Hard Legion weathering the storm early. They fell behind at the start of Mirage here, but they're coming back into it now. And wow, kinqie. I don't know how that's not through the smoke, honestly, but he gets the headshot onto Dycha. Very well lined up, and Dycha's dead body is in a interesting spot. Still, though, these three CTs sitting at mid with the USPs, hoping to land some headshots, but they've already lost the A site. Looks like Hard Legion will have no difficulties winning this one.
Yeah, the best case here for Sprout is to retrieve a little bit of extra weaponry. Maybe reduce the economy a little bit. Krad's actually been damaged quite heftily, although svyat should be able to hold on to the cross. Krad goes down, but getting that gun is going to be very difficult indeed, and well, eventually we will witness the fall of every single Sprout member. So 5-4. The streak continues for the T side, but this is where the going gets a little bit tougher. However, no orbs, and as said yesterday, that was one of the big parts of this CT defense.
Make sure to check out Hellcase. You can use the code SLTV15 for a 15% refill bonus. You can also open up the Hell Cup 8 Pro case to contribute to our dynamic prize pool, and it is the last day of the tournament, so we'll see how high that one goes here. Into this round, though, kinqie's getting aggressive right from the get-go. The mid-control going the way of Hard Legion. He's moving on to the edge of this smoke as well. I'm not sure if Sprout have heard his steps, but snatchie is close by. Oh, Flash is going back and forth. kinqie's looking for an elevated angle. But it looks like the CTs won't find the fights just yet. kinqie now gets caught out. snatchie was waiting in window the entire time. And I think kinqie mistimed when those smokes were fading. He gets caught in the open, and he didn't really have too much assistance there. So it's a clean kill for Sprout. Damn, Denis is in spawn.
Yeah, he's managed to get right in behind, and the worry is the fact that the bombs are alone on the ramp. Krad needs to be careful. The timing's going to be everything, and that's the bomb down. A minute left on the clock for the T's to work this retrieval mission. Rage actually going to go peeking. That's a fantastic shot. However, faveN so quick on that trade, and it really doesn't matter. If that bomb is down, there's nothing they can do. They have to go back to try and retrieve it. Denis has got aggressive, though. He's got to be careful. Rage is on fire at the moment. Another shot connected, and he looks to push further, looking for another man to remove his face. There is going to peek coming in from the stairs, and if he does get that kill, faveN should trade him. Actually, he's going to be forced out into the open. This is fantastic from Rage. He forces another out with a Molotov and at least gives his teammate a chance. He gets a kill onto the second player and now leaves the battle of the IGLs. svyat facing off against Spiidi. He doesn't know that Spiidi's in behind. And Spiidi will convert. A very close round in the end, considering the scenario was a 2v4 without the bomb. But Hard Legion ultimately do lose it. But as we've seen, they've won the last few rounds relatively clean. So kinqie has enough money to basically finance the whole buy. And they will be coming up to try and break back versus Sprout again.
Yeah, it's Sprout who should be somewhat weak here. This damage at the end makes a big difference. And Rage is starting to show us some of those signs of life that we were talking about throughout this tournament. Did a really good job at winning a bunch of those fights there. Unfortunate for svyat that he can't predict the final position at the end, but it was always going to be tough to know exactly where Spiidi was coming from. Still, though, I was saying earlier, Sprout's money isn't even going to be perfect into this round. Dycha's got an MP9, faveN's got a FAMAS. So if Hard Legion could win this one, they would be able to instantly reset that CT economy, and if anything, Hard Legion have the slightly better buy into this very round. Rage currently leading the way with that AWP. I assume he'll be boosting up one of his teammates with the rifles into window. And denis is waiting for this. Oh, Krad's been spotted. Spray from denis is a little too easy. Krad's shoulder goes around the corner too fast. And Dycha puts down an early incendiary and gets the timing right. Throne not ready for that battle. kinqie also hits the deck. It's just Sprout winning every single fight at the start of this one.
Yeah, they've actually changed their play up a little bit because, again, we see A being the focal point of pretty much every single push. I don't know if that's just something within the CIS, but there really has been no pressure put on B. So they've moved denis. They've just gone, screw it. Let's get him in a more proactive role. He's in form at the moment. He's playing well, and he's just got 2 kills for his team. And they've left snatchie alone on the other side of the map. Without his AWP, that's understandable. Definitely going to be less impactful than his German counterpart. And now with 25 seconds left, probably just save. Like, keep the AWP, you can get another rifle onto kinqie, at least make this buy a little bit more interesting, make it more competitive for the next round. denis,
Oh.
well, he's heard that. Doesn't matter anyway, because he'll peek into the angle, and that will at least be 1 extra gun hitting the deck. I wonder if faveN might be able to retrieve that, or at least slightly upgrade the FAMAS to something a little bit more... Counter-terrorists win. Well, better,
Juicy.
I guess. Juicy. Ugh.
What? Do you not like the word juicy?
I don't know, I just feel like calling a gun juicy is a bit weird.
Alright. Well, I am a bit weird, Tom.
Maybe a peach. I might want a more juicy peach.
Sure. I'm not gonna make any more comments about that. Hard Legion still have a decent buy here. Why? Ah, I got it, yeah. Took me a second. Okay. Rage has still got this AWP into this round.
Oh, your naivety is almost adorable.
Tom's having too much fun here. Too much fun. Yeah, Rage is probably going to try and get a pick with this AWP based on what we've seen so far, especially considering Krad only has a deg. He's the other man who you might see get aggressive. Krad's actually sticking close to Rage so far in this one. And Rage is going to start pushing through underpass with the AWP. That's a bit scary, but the smoke into window means he should be fine. denis has now gone back to the B site, so that last round was just a single switch up, and Rage has got the pick he was looking for. Spiidi goes a bit too far into the open, but Rage should have been heard there. snatchie's on the other side of this smoke, though, and Rage is ready for it. Rage, oh! Right to the face.
Get owned. Sit down, snatchie. That is beautiful stuff. faveN, good position. Needs more than one, gets nothing. And now, well, we spoke about denis being in form. He's going to get wrecked. What a round from Hard Legion. They're hitting every single shot. DNL, the only one left alive, and money is very bad for the opposition. Rage is going to finish it off with a triple. What a round coming out from the whole squad of Hard Legion. Not a single man lost. I don't even think they took any damage. And that will be a 5th onto the board for them, and more importantly, the money for their opposition is ruined. Now, normally you'd talk about this being an almost guaranteed investment, because you got someone like Spiidi only on $1,500. But the rest of the team are actually in a spot where they probably can buy into the next round. And because it's Spiidi, I imagine he's more likely to take the hit, and we'll see the team just eco.
Oh, hello. That's a kill for kinqie. Spiidi's got this Zeus. I think he's the player who buys the most Zeuses in the pro level. He loves a good Zeus, especially on Inferno. Mirage is another map where he picks them up sometimes, as you can see. Got to say as well that Krad's Deg has been disgusting throughout this tournament. He's had a bunch of rounds where he's made the difference for Hard Legion. He got another kill in that round, even though he's had a slow start to this game. And Spiidi is waiting patiently here. There may be a chance for him to try and electrocute an opponent. There are 2 Ts coming from Palace, so Spiidi could get a kill here if he's not cleared out. Hard Legion waiting it out, but Spiidi, oh, he only does damage with the Zeus. Gets svyat down to 19 health. I don't know why that's a thing. It's so annoying. And unfortunately for Spiidi, the Zeus doesn't work out for him this time round. svyat will probably just play safe now that he's taken the early damage. kinqie tapping away, gets a kill, and it will be a cleanup for Hard Legion. Even if they maybe should have lost 1 player, they don't lose a single man in that round. And now Sprout go back to a buy, but it's not a great one. snatchie's had to go without Kevlar on the AWP. You can already see Spiidi, who we talked about earlier, having weak money. I think the most important thing, though, is just the lack of utility here for Sprout. They have basically no nades in this one.
Yeah, it's definitely not pretty, that's for sure, but they could make this work. The only thing that worries me is this is giving me similar vibes to the game we saw with Nemiga, where they got off to a strong start and then Nemiga ended up holding out for a reasonable scoreline. Decent trade, but that from kinqie is going to make things awkward. Back and forth we go across different sides of the map. In fact, Apartments has been completely taken by the CT side. Now, I'm sure the T's may be a little bit worried about the integrity of the bomb, as it could be pushed, but in fact the CTs are just going to fall back, and Dycha has to be dead here. So much utility used to try and deny his presence in that position. Nice shot from faveN though, but he can't get a second. And now Spiidi, the man who started off for his side, has to try and close out the round. He won't be able to. 7-7, scoreline equalized, and again, Sprout have no cash.
Yeah, kinqie's quietly been putting up the numbers for Hard Legion as well. 14 kills for him now. Hasn't had too many highlight rounds necessarily, but he's been having impact, that's for sure. And you saw there the odds from Unicorn in favor of Sprout so far, but Hard Legion have started to turn this round here. And remember, this is Sprout's map pick, so Hard Legion putting up a good fight is already a positive sign. And if anything, they should be winning the half from this point, because Sprout don't have the best buy. They only have a couple of rifles in the mix, one of them being this scout of Spiidi, who could be caught in the open. Rage misses, but kinqie will not. Easy kill onto Spiidi, who was out in the open, and faveN tries to help out, but he's way too late. Good bit of damage done onto 2 of those Sprout players.
Yeah, this is looking like a really good resurgence from Hard Legion. Although Dycha might have something to say about it. He needed to connect that second shot if he was going to stand much of a chance. Ready. The T's look to encroach their way onto the A site once again. Fair amount of utility available to them to make this take work, and with the remaining 3 players so low on health, an 8-7 should almost be guaranteed as long as they check their corners, which they haven't done with Denis. It should at least be a trade, but somehow they've traded this back into a 2 versus 2. Again, both players still desperately low on HP, and the push from kinqie should put this one to bed. They know where Denis is, they've got time, they're just going to rotate.
Yeah, all the way back to B. Denis may have a chance to get a better gun out of this, although he's pushed into Palace, where there is not a rifle just yet. He goes back for the AK now. He just didn't want to give away the information initially. kinqie's waiting in a pretty good spot here. Rage will be getting this bomb down, but you can see kinqie is waiting for this rotation, and if Denis goes through the murder hole, he will be a dead man, and oh, he's about to. This is him dead. kinqie eventually spots him, and it gives Hard Legion the lead at the half. 8-7 in favor of Hard Legion. It was a pretty slow start for them, we were a little bit worried because we didn't see all their players showing up. We didn't really see too much from Krad in those early rounds. Rage took a little bit of time to get going, but you can actually see on the scoreboard, kinqie's up there at the top with 17 kills. Krad and Rage, the two players we were really talking about to be the aggressive players, to be making the difference, they're actually both at the bottom of the board for Hard Legion. So all things considered, that's a pretty good half for the Hard Legion guys. After losing the pistol, after losing behind early, they've come back to win the first half. And now here on Sprout's pick of Mirage, they've got to come through with a pretty strong T side to close this one out as we head into the second half pistol. Full Kevlar for Sprout as well. No nades brought into this round. So I wouldn't be surprised if they all just stick together in this one and try and use their strength in numbers.
Yeah, in fact, there isn't a single grenade. I don't think I've seen a pistol like this in a while. There's no kit. There's nothing. Every single player's gone for Kevlar. Well, this is basically a pistol DM is what we're about to witness. And more of that, please. More of that. One taps all the way through, and dear, you ruined it. He's not even going to get the kill. He'll be punished for it in the end. But I don't think it's going to matter with svyat on just 1 HP. Although if Spiidi jumps down, instead he's going to get Krad. That's so much worse for the CT side. svyat needs this trade kill, and he can't even take a shot to the toe. Sprout look like they may even have this pistol in the bag already. And as mentioned, there is no kit. There's no grenades. They're just going to have to walk out into whatever crossfire Sprout currently have available. It's going to be awkward, and svyat can't even get anywhere near the site. To get out of this position is impossible. In fact, he's going to get kinqie, and that's the second time that's happened. svyat's like, guys, I need some help. There's someone chasing me. And then they get shot in the face, and somehow he survives.
Oh, he actually gets a kill at the end here. faveN will be able to trade, though. So svyat gets 2 kills on the pistol, but his teammates won't be able to do too much to help him. And yeah, the Glocks just get onto the A site. Again, a bit weird to see a pistol round with literally all Kevlar bought, but it comes down to the aim, and in that round, it was Sprout who were able to win the majority of the fights. You'd expect Hard Legion to force here on the CT side after losing that one. If they do go for a save, they don't give themselves great money for the buy into the next, so forcing up is the standard protocol for this sort of round. Rage might save a bit more money if he wants to get the AWP into the future, but the rest of the team should be investing the majority of their cash. At least that's what you'd expect. And I assume this is likely a technical pause ahead of this round. Wouldn't make much sense for it to be a tactical one. Again, Sprout are basically one of the only teams that buy these MP7s. Still don't know entirely why Denis goes for it. I mean, it's fine. It's just a bit more expensive.
I think it does. It depends what you're going to be doing, because this is just me personally, which is irrelevant to top-tier Counter-Strike. But if I'm going to be going mid, for example,
yeah, it's a bit better at range,
I would rather have an MP7, yeah, just for the range. Like the more chance of just wrecking someone, especially if they are a little bit further behind. We do have a slight TeamSpeak issue, so this pause will be a little bit more elongated, but luckily that's an issue that's normally very quickly fixed. Unless you are using something awful like Skype, in which case then that you can never fix that problem. It's just trash. Of course, if Skype want to change my opinion on that, I will happily give them my bank details, and you can pay me an extortionate amount of money to lie. No, I'm kidding. Not a sellout. But yeah, this should be sorted fairly soon. But yeah, for me personally, I think that especially with SMGs, preference does play a pretty big part. Someone I know actually consistently always plays the Bison, even in gun rounds, which he's actually managed to drop some fairly high kill numbers with that gun, because one thing you're never going to expect is a pre-fire with a Bison on every corner. He is also the only man I've ever seen run out of bullets in a Bison, which I think that should go on his CV. Like, and like not intentionally either, like not some dude just spamming it at a wall. So Yeah, I think especially with SMGs, it's preference. Like you'll see a few people use the MP5. We normally would call them wrong'uns, but you know if they like it, that's fine. You have your own kinks. But yeah, most of the time, especially with the MP7, there's a little bit of added range, but it doesn't play a massive part. And in this round, it will probably play almost no part at all because it looks like we're not even going to see an investment coming in from Hard Legion. Rage has bought something.
I guess a 5.7.
But I don't see where it is.
Yeah, I guess he's dropped it.
So unless he's giving that to someone to be like a mini raid boss, but that would seem like a bit of a expensive thing to do.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if Hard Legion are still going to force and maybe someone drops Rage's scout. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Because if they are going to force, then obviously Rage would want to save a bit more money, being the author of the team. And I think it is pretty common to buy in this second round. As I was saying earlier, yeah, there you go. The scout's dropped over to him. I was saying earlier, if you do save here, you leave yourself with few nades in your first gun round. You probably leave yourself with some weaker weapons as well. So I think this is the more standard approach taken by Hard Legion. The force comes through. 5.7s for the majority of the players, but Rage is dropped that scout, saving a bit more money to try and get the AWP into the future. And here we go. We are back underway into this one. All tied up between these two teams. It's been a good start to this lower bracket final. Again, winner gets to go through and try and face Nemiga and try and see if they can knock Nemiga down. So far, Nemiga have been unbeaten throughout this tournament, making it all the way through that upper bracket. Loser obviously goes home with the third place prize pool, which should still be a good share, a good chunk of change for them. But at the start of this round, Sprout are just taking their time. Mid-control looking good, but Rage looking better. Lands a headshot with the scout onto Denis. And I think Sprout are going to want to avoid that now. They're moving into A.
There is that trusty 5.7. He's going to get one, which in all honesty is really not bad. That's another gun drop to the deck, and both SMGs have now been removed. So any kills from here on out are rifles, and that's the juicy guns that the side of Hard Legion are going to be looking for. Already one more drop. Spiidi's going to have a slight upgrade. Nice shot from him. He's having a decent game as well. Bomb going to be planted, but he had the footsteps of svyat. svyat doesn't even push. He just baits him in, and faveN's having to try and watch, but he looks away. That could be the timing they need. They get a little bit further forward, however, both players low, and it will be closed down. Not a bad force, but you have to remember that was everything the Hard Legion had, so it's not ideal. They were trying to win that round. It doesn't quite work, and now's the chance for that extra money to be made. We're going to have another SMG or two invested into, and this won't be a bad position at all.
Yeah, Hard Legion definitely put themselves in a position where they at least had a chance to win the round, especially once that bomb got denied initially. They had the man advantage. They actually had a decent position to work from. Unfortunately, though, the AKs were too much for them to handle, and Denis's Molotov is going to cause all sorts of issues. Flashes go through, but Denis gets two. snatchie with one of his own, and this round is going about as you would expect. Krad just sitting in connector. He snuck out into stairs. Oh, Dycha, oh dear, he's not ready, but luckily he survives. Sprout keep all five alive and get themselves a 10-8 lead, but this is what Hard Legion were waiting for. Rage can get the AWP, the rest of the team can get the rifles. Hopefully they'll have at least one kit in play. I assume svyat will be buying that. And over on the Sprout side of things, snatchie has an AWP of his own. Both AWPers on 10 kills so far. I think Rage has probably had a bit more impact, particularly because he's had more opportunities, I think, to use that AWP to make the most of it. Let's see if that's going to switch over now that we switch sides, though. Both AWPers going into mid.
This is a very one-sided setup coming out from Hard Legion in the early stages of this round, leaving Krad solo on B. Rage will rotate over just in case. But this is where I could definitely see some vulnerabilities coming up. I do think that I expect to see more from Sprout on this T side than when we witnessed them versus Nemiga, who were very proactive in their CT side, taking map control, being aggressive, being irritating is probably the best way to put it. kinqie, bit of an off angle, thrown at the back of the site, and denis actually just walking in. Didn't have any support. He was trying to be sneaky, which is something that denis loves to do, and it does have its successes sometimes. Dycha, he walks into the crosshair, but somehow still gets the kill and actually finds a second as well. This is getting out of hand. It's left onto the 2 remaining players, out of the action, and really out of the round.
Yeah, I like that this time Sprout have some players behind denis, because oftentimes he's walking into a site alone, but even though they weren't initially ready to trade, they were able to follow him up. And even though denis doesn't get the timing right, the rest of his teammates get the information and get themselves all the kills necessary onto the A side of the map. Dycha getting 2 important frags to open up the round to begin with. And even though Hard Legion were pretty focused on A to start the round, it seemed like they had a pretty good idea that it might be an A play. They weren't able to do a whole lot to stop it. They weren't able to put up much of a fight. Raze just having to save the AWP. And this is where Sprout might start to take over here on their map choice. They're keeping the CT economy down. They're keeping on winning these rounds. And even with Rage saving this AWP, the rest of the team aren't too likely to be buying around him.
Yeah, it would be a risky one. We can definitely see some pistols, though. They've got maximum loss bonus, so they can at least try and play around this AWP. And with Rage being a bit more aggressive in his stance to the AWP recently, might be able to at least find them some extra weaponry, or at least get a kill or 2. Again, we're going to see this setup in towards the A site. Smoke will deny any early Molotov usage, and we're just going to see this straight-up execution. I don't think they're ready for this, but they do have the majority of their players wrapping around into the site. That kill from kinqie is actually going to retrieve an AK. The flashbang as well from Throne has set up svyat to pick off one more, and now the stack is working out wonderfully. The bomb's been dropped in the open. It went in first and was dropped to the ground. Now denis has to try and fix this one. He's got himself a first kill, a second as well for denis. He may have just saved them here, but Krad is still standing. He's someone you really can't bet against in these situations as he gets his second. And now Spiidi once again. He's always in these clutches. He's won a fair few, but he won't take this one. Big plays from Krad. It's what we've wanted to see throughout these series so far, and this time he will take it.
Yeah, throughout this tournament, it feels like Krad's been good for 1 or 2 of those rounds throughout almost every map, especially when he has the Deg in his hand. He seems to be so successful at winning those fights. I think Krad has nearly half of his kills with Degs now in this map. He's up to 10. I'm pretty sure he got 1 or 2 in the first half as well with the Desert Eagle. He's really good with that pistol, and once again, it works out for him, and that's a round that Hard Legion are able to win, and they're able to get themselves in a good position. Rage, though, not in the best position at the start of this one. Jumping over to stairs, almost got caught in the process, but he goes back for the fight, and he ends up winning it. Nice shot from Rage, even though it looked like he might have been the man that was caught early. And faveN's just got himself up into window. I think he may have been heard, though. Rage is aware of it. He's looking for it, but he misses the shot, and that opens up this round significantly. denis gets one of his own, and Sprout are the ones who get the lead. Dycha with another kill, and it's all just fallen apart for Hard Legion.
That was a nice shot, though.
Oh,
Krad's found another one. This might slip away from Sprout just yet. A 2v4 quickly diminished into a player, a couple on either side. faveN's making so much noise. He should know the Throne's here, right? He should have known. It doesn't matter. He'll get the kill anyway. But now both players are desperately low on HP. The question is, can Krad catch either of them? Now, they can get a default plant without him being able to do anything. It's only if they try to cross. Now, chances are snatchie is not going to do that, because if you already have control around CT, there is absolutely no reason to plant anywhere else other than default. He could even plant open for ramp if he really wanted to, but they are just going to take it safe, and that's the right call in this scenario. However, it's Krad again. You mentioned he has 1 or 2. Well, he's going to need to have them back-to-back. The nade is perfect! And now faveN is all alone. 1v1 facing off against the clutch master of the last round. He does it back-to-back. Krad with a triple once again. And Sprout have got to be absolutely kicking themselves.
Yeah, Krad starting to show up could be the difference maker on this map now. There's only 1 round in it. Krad's just won his team 2 rounds in a row. He was quiet up until this point, but man, has he come alive in these last couple of rounds. And we know that he's capable of just taking over rounds like this. We've seen it from him. We've seen him win a bunch of key rounds to give Hard Legion some of these wins. That puts both teams in a position where they're able to buy. Both of them not with a perfect buy, but I think it's Hard Legion who've got the better side of things here. They've got 2 AWPs. They've got most of their nades and most of their rifles out, whereas Sprout have had to take 2 players onto pistols in this round. So snatchie will be searching for an opening kill. It's another game where snatchie hasn't had the level of impact we were hoping for. We haven't seen too many highlight rounds from him. Maybe that's about to change in this one, though. Denis boosted up, but he's not ready for svyat. A bit of a sloppy spray, but Denis was so clueless as to svyat's position that it was always going to be the CT winning that one. faveN also trying to sneak through window now as the second player attempting to make this similar play. Ooh, great shot from Dycha. Almost loses out in that second fight, but the flash is coming on through, and Sprout should get themselves onto this A site pretty safely here. kinqie, though, could be the man to deny them. The FAMAS shot lands. snatchie unable to land a shot back, so Hard Legion hold the man advantage, at least for now.
Did kinqie take no damage from that nade? I think he was protected by the ladder, which I wouldn't try and use that in Elements of War. Dycha just trying to cover his teammate with the deagle. Of course, this is the vulnerabilities of Sprout's buy starting to be shown. Peek coming out. He spotted 2 players now within that CT spot. Gives a lot of information over. The Molotov doesn't quite reach snatchie either, so he will have the opportunity to fall back. He's got to be careful, as there is a player just on the edge of the box. However, faveN has come in from behind. He's evened things up. snatchie now picks off another as it's left on to just 2, and both with AWPs. This is not the ideal scenario, and snatchie stepping up when needed is going to find his second kill of the round. Krad doesn't really have time to do anything anymore. The bomb ticking, too far gone with 3 players remaining. He's just going to try and save this AWP, maybe take someone with him, which faveN probably is going to go down, so that's something at least. But snatchie quick on the refrag, 12-10, money ruined, and although he got 2 back-to-back clutches, he couldn't quite get the 3rd.
Yeah, Krad had been the hero for Hard Legion previously, but that one was just way too far gone. And now Hard Legion are in a position where it's their money that's not great. This is that shot from Dycha. Such a tight angle with the D, but he gets it to go his way. And even though Sprout's buy isn't perfect, it's fine for them. They should be able to win this one pretty comfortably. They should be able to build up some money from this round win. And if the A play were to come through, Hard Legion would not be in the best positions to stop that from happening. Smoke's already coming down. Hard Legion trying to cross to the site, but they might get caught in the open here. They might get caught without any cover. svyat goes jumping up, and all these kills are going against Hard Legion. It's been a bit back and forth. It's been a decent fight here in this second half, but again, it feels like Sprout are generally the ones controlling these rounds. The rounds that Hard Legion have won have been down to clutches, have been very close, whereas Sprout's wins have been a bit more convincing. Even if kinqie gets a kill at the end there, there's only so much that Hard Legion can do in this one. It will be Sprout up to a 13-10 lead. And now the pressure's going to be on Hard Legion into this next round.
Yeah, it seems like Sprout have come alive at the right time. Although those Hard Legion clutches have made things appear to be close, the second they fall apart, real vulnerabilities within the squad show. Rage has had a bit of a slowdown with that AWP, a few missed shots that have cost them man advantages in these rounds, and more importantly, we've only seen a couple of rounds from Krad. Like, you consider he's had those clutches, he's still only on 14 kills. The odds, obviously, still in the favor of Sprout. No surprises there, of course, being the last day of the Hellcase Cup. It is also the last day of, if you deposit $20, you will get $80 to play during the Starlighter Hellcase Cup. So if you do want to try and get that through on Unicorn, it has to be today, because from tomorrow the Hellcase Cup will, well, I'm sure there might be another season eventually, but it won't be happening tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll have to wait a while.
Yeah, Hawker's still planning it, so you know.
Yeah, give me.
He runs the show, writes the theme tune, sings the theme tune.
I don't think we have a theme tune yet, Tom. You're already spoiling next season.
Oh,
come on, man.
I heard it's going to be used singing in an opera style.
That's exactly right. It's still in pre-production right now, Tom. We'll have to wait. Wow, Krad was playing close there. He committed to the fight, and now Rage is alone, but he gets a shot while blind. The AWP making all the difference in this one. Rage finally having more of that performance we can expect, and Spiidi almost turned away too fast there. It's not going to matter too much, because Dycha is the last man standing. Headshot lands onto the first. Hard Legion don't need to give away any more fights. They can afford to just wait for Dycha to try and get that bomb down. And that's exactly what Hard Legion will do. They'll play it safe. They'll force Dycha to make the play. Still plenty of time left. And he actually just commits to the plant. He's going to get that down. So now it's Hard Legion. You have to start pushing into the site. And Dycha spots the first man. Headshot lands. Dycha into the 1v1. But he's not ready for two players on short. He's not ready for svyat's position. Good effort from Dycha, but he's unable to win the round. That damage could be relevant, though.
svyat is testing if he can defuse this bomb through the corner of the wall. But I was going to say, there's a really unorthodox plant spot, so I'm not sure whether or not they really planned that too well. I do really like the way that Hellcase played that, though, because they were both separated, and obviously we talk about crossfires in Counter-Strike, but I like the fact that they basically used that as an element of surprise. They go together, they make it very difficult to deal with, predict both players coming in from short, especially with one already being spotted around the market. So it basically gives them a little bit of a leg up in that position. It will only be one man surviving, though, and bear in mind the last 3 rounds that have been won by Hard Legion have all been with one man surviving. So you can see the damage that it's doing to their economy. They're not unable to really build up any real finances, and that's why, of course, we're going to see Sprout investing back into this one, because if they win this, again, it could be a crushing blow.
Yeah, this is Sprout's chance to put themselves in a great position to close out their map pick. And I think you can see they're aware of it. Keeping it slow, keeping it calm at the start of this one. Early kill found by Krad. Denis, the man that was caught out there, I believe that was in mid. Rage gets one of his own with the AWP, so the mid control not working out for Sprout right now. The bomb is also in connector, so they've got to be careful. They've got to make sure the bomb can get onto the A site safely, and that seems to be happening right now. There's still a player pushed into A ramp, though. They have to be aware of Throne's position. It's only the MP9 up close, so it might not be the biggest issue, but Spiidi's in the back lines. Throne finally pulls the trigger, and the bomb is yet to get anywhere near this A site. It's only faveN remaining, and he's taking damage. He's taking punishment. The nade will land right on his face, and Hard Legion keeping it close.
Yeah, another couple of rounds for Rage. Like 2 kills in the last round, 3 kills in this one. Good to see him back in form. Got the AWP in hand once again, and for the T side, it's awkward, because they can't buy here. They can invest into a few pistols. Dia can even buy a deagle and still be able to drop an AWP in the next round, but then he wouldn't have any head armor, so it's just going to be a P2 fiddy for him. And this is going the distance once again, 13-12. This was the map that I think ended 16-12 last time, but the chances are here we are going to see the equalization in scoreline, unless some very sexy shots are connected by Hard Legion. They've only got the single AWP, which I like to see. I think that Krad's too dynamic a player to be tied down to an AWP, even if it can help him to defend that B site a little bit better. We've seen pressure come in mostly on A and mid, so understandable that that hasn't come back in just yet.
Yeah, this game has been so back and forth with the money as well. It would be such a big investment, such a big risk to take. So I'm liking that Hard Legion are sticking with that single AWP for now. Krad really should not be jumping up here. It's such a risky fight, but it works for him. He gets the double spray down. If he were to fall there, they really could have been in trouble. The pistols could have started to run over that B-bomb site, but Krad clearly knows what he's doing, gets both those kills, and now svyat will also get 2 of his own. So this round ends up being an easy one. Spiidi only has the Glock. There's basically no way in for him. It's going to be 13-13.
I don't even really know what the plan is here. I guess hope that for some reason they all walk off B. Okay. Wow. That's not a duel he ever should have been winning. Maybe one more of those, he gets a bomb plant. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. Even an incendiary getting him afterwards. It was close. I appreciate the effort, Spiidi, but there was absolutely no chance of you winning that. But 13-13. Money's going to be fine for the T side anyway, although they do have utility missing. snatchie again, looking at him to maybe step up in this round. We saw him win one for them earlier, and faveN's been having a very good game. It's actually a bit of a quieter one for Denis, but I think that mainly comes down to the map. I think on Inferno, he is going to be one of the most integral players for his side. Both teams, though, not financially safe. Like Sprout for sure, there's no arguments there, but they do have the loss bonus behind them. For the CT side, a round loss would leave them in a pretty awkward spot for a buy if they didn't save any weaponry. And because of that, they need to basically string this out.
Yeah, even though Hard Legion have built up some money, you can see their loss bonus is as low as it can be, which is why they would be in a pretty awkward position if they were to lose this. They probably could still scrape together some sort of buy, but that's not what they'll be focused on right now. They'll be focused on trying to win this one. Again, those AWPers have been, I think, largely a non-factor. Rage has had some rounds, but we haven't really seen much impact from snatchie. Even if he has been putting up numbers, he's not really come up with too many multi-kills, not really come up with too many early kills in these rounds. Now would be a good time for that to change. Rage going for an aggressive peek into Palace. There is a player close by. I doubt Rage will go any further here with the AWP. It would be a huge risk to push alone with the sniper. He's got some assistance now, though. There's a second man moving in and thrown. Oh, he gets the timing right, but there's a second man there. Rage ready for it. Into a 3 versus 3, and svyat fades on away. kinqie could get some kills here, though.
Ooh. 2 for free, and then 1 finally puts him out of his misery. svyat close, and the B site's completely open. snatchie is going to make the jump. The vent's not broken, though. He's going to try and break 2 at the same time and almost fake out the fact that he's gone towards the B site, but they should realize this, right? Surely. Surely that hasn't worked. He shot both vents at roughly the same time. No, Rage has realized. Okay, he's looking in the right direction now. I was about to say, for a second, nobody moved. And I was like, oh, no, they're not going to let him just walk in from behind. But, yeah, nice attempt. Maybe if he'd shot the other one first, they could have faked it out. But realistically, it wasn't much hope in that scenario. Leaving that closed was almost a little bit mean. And Hard Legion, 14 on the board. 2 more. They take the first map. Head into Inferno with an advantage. But, yeah, this was one we expected from Sprout to really take this home.
What if, Tom? What if he threw a flash at the one vent and then got his gun out and shot the other vent at the same time while the flash was in the air? That could have been cool. I don't know if it's possible, but it could have been cool. Oh, faveN's got an opening kill in this round. I thought the Deeks might not have much of a chance with how Hard Legion have been playing, and svyat turns on a dime to get that second kill, so it's looking good for Hard Legion here. They may get the opportunity to close out their opponent's map pick here on Mirage. Krad gets another one. Sprout, oh, great shots from kinqie. That transfer was sublime. The first headshot was so fast, the second kill was well taken, and now Sprout have got to win these last 2 rounds. They've got to go for overtime here. Not what Sprout would have expected heading on to Mirage, heading on to their choice, but it's another day where Hard Legion have just showed up individually. This time, kinqie topping the scoreboard for them. And they've got 2 chances to close this first map out.
Yes, svyat's up there as well. Normally the in-game leader, normally the one trailing behind, but he's had a very good game. If they can get this one, then they do go on to an Inferno with an advantage. Last time, it was overtime and Rage. That is a sick shot. snatchie's out of the round. He just has to sit back and watch. Thrown just about avoiding the flames. Gotta be careful, it's a risk, and both players go down. Now it's left on to kinqie at the back of the site, and Rage likely going to be Molotov'd out, although actually that's bounced back into the connector. That doesn't really affect him whatsoever. kinqie gets a decent timing. He does so much damage to both, but he doesn't get a kill onto either. However, Rage has found a kill elsewhere. That incendiary might even kill him. He's got to move. He's just standing in it. He's on 4 HP, and eventually faveN's there. But look who it is. 1 man left. He can't do it this time. I was expecting maybe some magic from Krad, but unfortunately not quite quick enough. 15-14, potential for overtime here once again.
Damn, that was a nice shot from Rage at the start of the round. And Hard Legion will still have money. I think they have enough cash across the board. Krad's got an AWP right now. I think Throne was the one man who didn't have money, but he's been dropped a gun. And I do wonder whether Sprout have tried to exploit this A site so heavily because it's Throne and svyat playing on A. You have the stand-in, who's been playing pretty well individually, but is still not going to be 100% cotton onto the team, whereas svyat is normally someone who is a weak fragger, and he stepped up here, but you saw in that round just a small mistake made, which allowed Sprout to get out onto the A site to begin with. faveN's up to 30 kills, by the way. It's another one where I feel like he's not had too many massive rounds. He's not had too many rounds where I feel like he's won it alone. But yeah, he's just always been there, always doing what he needs to do. And now Sprout just need one more round to take us to overtime. Double AWP setup in play for Hard Legion. And Sprout aren't going to go straight back to that A site. They'll spread across the map at the start of this last round of regulation.
I like this from the CTs, though. They're going to try and take ramp away. It's been one of their real weaknesses is players pushing in that direction. Krad, this is so risky, but he wins the duel. faveN, well, he's going to have to settle for 30 in regulation because he won't play a part in this round. It's going to be the push. Again, going towards this connector spot. svyat has to be careful, lurking around the edge of that smoke. He's going to throw down another one, but they may know that he's close around the edge. Trying to watch to see if anybody attempts to make a push through. It would be incredibly big risk for anybody on Sprout's side, but sometimes those are taken. And Krad, speaking of risks, he's going to go down. Another kill back in with 45 seconds left. svyat on the corner. kinqie's dead. That's the B site opened up. And svyat knows he needs to react. He at least gets one. Gives them more of an opportunity in this retake. But the rest of the team are so far behind. Sprout are going to have an afterplant situation. And it's down to Hard Legion to bring it back.
Yeah, Rage is going all the way through spawn as well. He's going to be a long way away. It may be the two kitchen players from Hard Legion that have to go before he arrives. Rage is coming in through short as well, but here comes the fight. Spiidi caught in the open. snatchie is left in a 1v2. He's already got the first kill, but there's a flank coming in. There's a flank, and there it is. Rage gets the kill he needed. Hard Legion close it out with the 3v3 retake. They steal away their opponent's map pick. And that's a really impressive start to this one from Hard Legion. And having everyone show up was the difference this time. It wasn't just the Krad show. It wasn't just Rage making the difference with the sniper. It was the entire team stepping on up. And look, there are a bunch of close rounds they had to win in there, but I'm still just so impressed that Hard Legion keep doing this.
Yeah, I do think that if you are forZe, even though you're one of the best players, you're going to be sat there at home going, okay, don't do too well. Like, I don't. If you win this tournament, my position in the team might actually be questioned because, yeah, they've been fantastic, and especially with both halves starting well for Sprout, the excuses kind of go out the window. Like, you can't really talk about this as like, oh, yeah, Hard Legion just got off to strong starts, and then they sort of like won it because they got both pistols. I'm pretty sure they got neither pistol. So the fact that we look at this and go, okay, this is a position where Sprout had all the advantages. They had all the financial positions. They had a reasonable amount of their players performing well. They just lost some crucial rounds. The two Krad clutches played a big part, but Throne having a very good game, svyat stepping up to the plate, and kinqie being one of the best players in the server made all the difference. And, well, this time I definitely can't harp on faveN because he dropped 30 kills. But it just was a close game in the end, and it was those small margin, those rounds, the couple of 1v3s that were thrown away that ended up costing Sprout the map. And well, now they go into another map that is very strong for them, one that they like to play, but last time they played it was also overtime. So it's not like this was a dominant position for them last time. Hard Legion go into a map, again, that they picked, that they've been strong on, and probably have fixed a few issues that they lost last time.
Yeah, I've got to say as well, on the Hard Legion side of things, like you said, there were 3 rounds that they won from 1v8 scenarios. And there were also a couple of rounds where it was close, it was maybe a 3v3 or something, and they were able to close it out. And that's something we have to give Hard Legion a lot of credit for. A bunch of these close-ish rounds, they were able to win. Obviously, this clutch again from Krad did make a big difference, because if Sprout wins some of these, they probably start to pull away. They probably start to get out to a pretty big and pretty significant lead at that point. But at the same time, Hard Legion did do enough. And over on the Sprout side of things, I was saying earlier, it felt like snatchie was having a pretty quiet game. He ended 17 for 21, which doesn't sound bad, but he only won 1 opening duel. He lost 3 of them. He only had 5 rounds where he got 2 or more kills. there wasn't massive amounts of impact from the from what I was seeing. Whereas Rage on the other side of things, he won 6 opening duels. He was continuing to do work in some of these early fights. He was continuing to get his team early man advantages. And just overall, Hard Legion just having the edge individually, it felt, throughout this game. And that was just about enough for them to take it over the line.
Well, yeah, there you go. If you look at the scoreboard, it is majority, at least, of the Hard Legion side, but then faveN and Spiidi again. Spiidi has been putting up some decent stats, especially for someone leading the squad. So you have to look at some of the remaining players. Again, Dycha not being as impactful as we've seen him before, like having a few rounds where he was good. Obviously, they only lost by a small margin, but you have to consider some of those rounds that they let slip and the fact that they did have the best player in the server and still managed to lose. So it's an issue going forward, but as said, this is a map where Denis has looked really good going into Inferno. It's a map where their team seems to work quite well. And I would expect them to take this one. I would still expect Sprout to look to take this one over the line, even though I've been impressed with how Hard Legion have managed to play. There you have your AWP stats as well. Like, the majority for Rage coming up with the AWP, which is good. It means they managed to get it to him a lot of the time. They weren't taking any weaker purchases, weren't really having those buys where he wasn't able to have impact. And yeah, he's looking good. Throughout this tournament, he's been much better than what we saw over the last few weeks. So it's enjoyable. It's made this Hard Legion side as someone who's competitive, and if they win this next one, they get to go back and fight versus Nemiga in that grand final. Of course, there is only one way to find out if that will happen, and that is for us to go to a short break and then come back with Inferno.